Today's the day that we go and hopefully get our engine alternator power situation sorted.
Yeah.
So we're going to head down the locks to the canal boat company and see what they say, really.
Yeah.
We have arrived at... Gosh, it's bright.
Yeah.
Why did I take my hat off?
Good for solar though.
It's good for solar. We have arrived at the Canal Carrying Company in Stern, where they're going to have a look at our issue. And they're a bit behind. They've had an issue with another boat that needed some extra work done. So, well, that's fine. They should get to us this afternoon. We're not in any rush. We're not really...
We don't have to be anywhere at the moment. We gave ourselves like a week just in case they needed to wait for parts and stuff.
Yeah, so we got plenty of time. So we're just gonna chill, do
some work.
Yeah.
Play some video games. Have a nap or two.
A very relaxed day you've got there, friend.
There's work in there.
Yeah. Who's working?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I've got something to do, probably.
So they've started work on our engine, and it has been determined that the engine has to come out. So a bit more expensive, but easier for them to work on, and at least it gets the problem solved. The engineers backed up their pump out truck to the edge of the canal where our boat was moored. It has a steel beam with a winch attached to it that they can use to lift the engine out of the engine bay.
Once the winch was securely attached, they then began the delicate operation of removing it from the engine bay without damaging any cables, hoses, pipes or the exhaust.
after some finagling, the engine was finally free.
Is that clear outside?
Clean outside.
Lower the truck down.
Bye-bye, engine.
Yeah. They stole our engine.
Yeah, they stole our engine. It's gone.
It's gone.
It's out.
Once the engine was removed, they then sucked out all the excess water, fuel, and oil that leaked out of the engine when they were disconnecting it.
They then moved the engine to the workshop area where they mounted it on a cart to begin the repairs. Our engine is out. It's gone. They've taken it to go and work on it. So I'm taking the opportunity to get in here and give it a clean. Maybe see if I can find some degreaser somewhere in town. But the main thing I want to do is there's wood or
Foam or something?
styrofoam or something that the previous owners have placed down on top of the metal floor, which just seems like a very good way for
Water gets stuck.
water to get in there and then rust. So it's always something that I've wanted to do, never really got around to, and there's some pretty big pieces, so it can be quite awkward to get it
Around
past
the engine, yeah.
and all the cables and bits and pieces. So while there is no engine,
Gonna get into it.
gonna do it. Kind of wish I had gloves though, because I know this is not going to be pretty.
Okie dokie.
So we pulled out all of the
wood that was in there that was too big for us to get out while the engine was in.
very big chunks of wood, and it's
Yeah, it's just like chipboard or
Yeah.
MDF that's soaked up all the like occasionally when we've had heavy rain and a bit of water's got in there, or a bit of water's overflowed from somewhere
it's a
inside.
boat, water gets in, so
Yeah. So we can't understand why there was wood in there to begin with, but it's gone now. There is a little bit of rust in the bottom, but it's nowhere
it's all
near.
just it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So I've scraped one side already, so it looks lovely.
Well, lovely.
down there, you can't. So it looks pretty nice there, and now I'm just about to do this side, which looks
gunky. You can tell a bit of difference. And then we'll get in there with fur tan and get some paint.
I'll degrease it, fur tan it, and paint it.
Yeah, I mean, having to do this job is really scraping the bottom of the barrel, isn't it? Or the bottom of the boat.
The reason we have the time to do this is because they've just told us that the engine is not a simple fix like they were hoping and like we were hoping. This is the same issue that we were having last year on the Ashby Canal, where our travel pack generator broke the two top bolts. What's actually happened is there are 5 bolts on that generator that sits on top of our engine.
Yeah.
And
on the bracket,
Yeah, on the bracket that holds it to the engine. All 5 of them have broken, and that's why the 2 that got replaced several times that were
kept
on
breaking,
top and accessible kept breaking, because they were the only 2 that were trying to hold it in place. So they've got to order the parts, they've got to drill out the bolts. It's not going to go back in today.
Maybe not tomorrow.
It's probably not going to go back in tomorrow. So we have the time to take the opportunity and do a job that needs doing anyway. So, you know, bright sides and all that.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact it's going to be expensive, but oh well, when you're in a boat.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Oh, yay. Look at all that lovely rust. It's what you want on the bottom of your boat.
At least there shouldn't be a problem after we finish.
Yep. This morning I am...
First job of the morning.
Yeah, I'm back in the engine bay. They actually moved us this morning.
Yeah.
Just
They
pulled us
needed
along.
they needed to get access to another boat and that.
Yeah. So they've moved us just a little bit way along the canal, and I went out yesterday evening with Kaylee and Stephen. They very kindly took me to B&Q so that I could get some degreaser and some Hammerite primer paint so that we could get started on
the bilge area.
Bilge. We've decided we're not going to Fertan it because actually the steelwork is
Pretty good.
really good condition after I scraped all of the old
Yeah.
paint and the bits of rust that had formed, but it all just came off, and the Hammerite paint is direct to rust treatment and preventer, so
Yeah.
that should do what it needs to do, and we just don't have the time to wait for Fertan to work because it takes
24 hours.
24 to 48 hours depending
Yeah.
on the temperature, and yeah, we just don't have the time for that.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the next best thing and use a rust preventer and treatment all in
Paint.
one. Paint,
Yep.
But first job is
Just
to degrease the engine bay,
Give it another bit of a clean,
give it a clean.
and then we can start painting.
Yeah. Fun. Ooh. So foamy. It was reassuring to see that the steelwork underneath the old paint and rust was still in pretty good condition and wouldn't cause us any problems in the future. Right, so we have degreased and rinsed
And degreased and rinsed
it all off with some water, fresh water, and we borrowed Stephen and Kaylee's wet and dry vac. We were able to vacuum all the water out after we'd finished rinsing and cleaning.
Yep.
Which made the job probably 10 times
Quicker and easier.
So the next job, now that it's all dried in here, is to start painting on the Hammerite.
And give it time to dry, then paint on more Hammerite.
Yeah. So we're going to put on a coat of Hammerite, and then we're going to check with the
workshop.
Yep. I was going to say the warehouse.
We're going to check with the workshop and see if they're going to be able to put the engine back in today, which we're hoping they won't have time.
Yeah.
And we can put the second coat on.
Yeah, because we'll need 6 hours between coats. So it's about 12 o'clock now, so if we get a coat on now, then we can start another coat at about 6 p.m. And then we want to put a final coat of bilge paint at the very least in the centre section where the engine sits above, because that's very difficult to get to once the engine's in place. The rest of it we can deal with afterwards
later on,
when the engine's back in. That's not a problem, but we just want to at least get that bit.
Julia, let's get started.
I have my painting nappies on my feet. What are they?
Nappy moccasins.
Oh. Just so I don't get grease everywhere and keep everything as tidy as possible.
And if you see any wet patches, you can just walk over them and dry them up. So we've been shaking this up, so it shouldn't need a good stir.
Yeah, it's been shaken, not stirred.
Shaken, not stirred. Still not finished yet.
just started like 15 minutes ago.
It's already 4 o'clock.
It is nuts. I've done the edges on the other side, so now I just got to do this side and then the center. First coat of the Hammerite is on.
Yep.
And we're gonna leave it
to dry
overnight because we found out, we've been told that it's worse than we thought, basically. So it's going to take some time to fix stuff. Didn't quite understand all of it.
Yeah.
But there is a casing that
has had a hole worn in it, so then they're sealing that up again.
They need to seal that up. So that's going to take some time, and he said it's probably not going to go back in until next week. So today's Thursday.
Yeah.
So maybe Monday it'll get put in. So we have plenty of time to let that coat dry, and we can leave it more than the 6 hours. That's like the minimum recommended. So we'll do a second coat of Hammerite tomorrow morning.
Yep.
Leave that for that day, and then we will do the coat of bilge paint
on the weekend.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, Pixel, we'll take you for a walk.
So where do you want to go for walkies? Walkies, Pixel. Want to go outside? Want to go outside? Yes. This room has become like Maggie's little prison, extra bedroom.
Thanks. I think it's a bit cold to sleep in here.
She's just wiping out some of the bilge so she can do another coat, because we've got red bilge paint.
Yeah, I already painted the centre bit with grey bilge paint.
We're leaving that grey so it's easy to tell when there's an oil spill or anything.
So that's going to be directly under the engine, so we'll be able to see if any oil leaks or any water or anything is down in there. And I'm just wiping out the sides, which I've just got the Hammerite primer on them, and I'm going to coat them with a few coats of red bilge paint.
Yep.
But there's a little bit of bits and pieces of drops of water, dust, stuff that's got in there, so I just need to wipe it out before I start painting it.
Cool.
But our engine is ready.
Yes.
I just went and checked because I didn't want to put wet paint in an engine bay that they're about to climb into, but they said that they're happy to wait until we're finished painting.
Cool.
So that was nice of them.
Nice.
So this middle bit has the bilge paint on it already. So I'm going to do that side and that side in red to match the rest of the engine bay. First coat is on. Now I'm just going to leave it for 8 hours before I can do the next coat.
How's the paint job?
It's looking good. It seems dry.
Pixel!
She had a
boo-boo this morning.
Yeah, she got a wasp sting on her paw. Even a Pixel.
She quickly took her up to the vet just in case she had an allergic reaction.
Yeah, we went to the vet. She's fine. So it's dry enough. They're gonna move us back to where the workshops are so they can put our engine back in. Yay!
Yay.
And get all the paint out here. Paint job is complete. I'm looking very nice, if I do say so myself. moving along with no engine power. Just getting pulled by manpower. Our engine was repaired and looking much cleaner than it had when it first came out of our engine bay. So now all that was left was to pick it up off the trolley and place it back into our engine bay. Our engine is actually back in the engine bay, but they found some more issues. So when he tried to put it back in and tried to line it back up again, it has actually always been a little bit out of alignment, according to the little alignment device thing that they're using to line it up with the prop shaft. So he's gone to have a cup of tea, which I can understand. You need the fortification. And then he's going to come back. He's going to have to lift the engine out again, just a little way, and he's going to replace some of the bolts on the engine mounts, because they're big bolts at the moment. He's going to make them smaller bolts, and then they're going to place some spacers, was it? Spacers?
Yeah.
Some spacers between the engine and where it sits in the engine bay. I've got all the technical terms. And then once they've realigned everything and made sure it's all good, they're going to weld those spacers in place. So, fun times. More work to be done, but our engine is going back in.
Contortionist.
Yeah. After the welding was complete, it was just a matter of bolting the engine back into place and reattaching the prop shaft coupling. They also had to make sure all the wires and cables were reconnected. The final task the next day was to make sure that the engine actually started and ran as it should. As you can see, we are no longer at the boatyard.
Yay!
And we did manage to make it to this point under our own power. So our engine is working.
Definitely a good sign when you get there under your own power.
The travel pack has been fixed.
Yep.
The generator. And so far it all seems to be working. The real test will be a bit later in the week when we put a load of washing on, because we need the travel pack generator to run the washing machine. So that will be the real test. But so far things seem to be going well.
Yeah. When we got the invoice for the repairs and we started reading it, because it's quite a read, it's 4 pages.
It's a 4-page invoice of everything that they did to our engine while it was out of our boat.
We were like, as we were reading about all the bits and pieces that had to replace, all the extra stuff, all the welding, all the bits and pieces that had to get shipped in and everything to repair it.
And we had them do a service to the engine while it was out, because why not?
We were like, our anxiety was like, this is going to cost so much. It's going to cost so much.
It's going to cost us like $2,000. But then we got to the last page and it actually cost us just under £1,000.
Yeah.
Just under.
They did a lot to the engine. The engine is running so much better now.
Yeah, it does feel better, it does sound a bit better, it doesn't feel like the boat vibrates quite as much when the engine's running. But our wallets are £1,000 lighter than they were when we went in. But as the saying goes, BOAT stands for bring out another 1,000. So at least it is all fixed, and
they did a great job.
They did a really good job. They're so friendly there.
Yeah. Good
service. Especially for what you pay, because for all that work, seriously, I thought it was going to be lots of money. But in the end, it kind of felt like £1,000 was actually quite reasonable.
Yeah, that was good.
The whole process of getting the engine in and out and fixed and everything did actually take just shy of 2 weeks. So we've been here quite a while. Because we arrived Tuesday 2 weeks ago, and today is Tuesday, and this morning we actually finally left the boatyard. So quite some time, but not all of that was them working on the engine.
No, they were just so busy and backed up with work, and because they're the base for the hire company as well.
Yes, they had all their hire boats that they have to work on as well, and also. There was, I think, 2 days in there where the engine was pretty much ready to be put back in, but they let us push it back because we were still painting the bilge. So it wasn't all just
them. It was
us as well.
A good portion of it was us.
When you next see us, we are going to be at Etruria, which is where we went onto the Colden Canal. So if you haven't seen those vlogs, you can go and check those out. But because we've done this stretch of the canal so often, and we only did it a couple of weeks ago.
Well, we were like, maybe 3 or 4 weeks by the time this one comes out.
Yeah, we only did it not very long ago, so we thought we're not going to bother filming going back along this stretch of canal. But we will film from Etruria onwards. Our plan is to get off me fly.
Head up towards the tunnel, go through the tunnel, up through the Macclesfield and onto the Peaks Forest.
Yes, so that's the plan. However, the country is going into a second lockdown.
Well, yes.
So we are going to play it by ear, just kind of see how things go. And if it does, if we do end up the canals being locked down again and all the restrictions back in place, then we are going to head straight back to the marina. So we'll be heading back there in a month's time anyway, because it's just about the start of October now, and
beginning of November.
Beginning of November.
A lot of the locks down, especially on the Trent and Mersey. A bunch of them are going to be shut down from the 2nd, isn't it?
From the 2nd of November, so we have to be back into the marina pretty much by the 1st, because otherwise we'll be stuck.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
I think so.
You've had your schnoz trimmed, haven't you?
Yeah, she's had a schnoz trim. She wouldn't need a schnoz trim so much if she got a snout out of a water bowl.
Here he goes.